June 19th, 2020. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Justin LaBar. Going to talk SmackDown tonight. Matt Morgan should be along soon. And Justin, we should open with the top story, which I'm sure by now everyone is aware of. What has been going on in the wrestling world for the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, so obviously if you've been on the internet today, if you've been on Twitter, you've noticed that the speaking out movement has been in full effect. It is a campaign of people speaking out about sexual misconduct allegations in the pro wrestling world. Wrestling Inc. is following all of these, all the allegations, all the stories. There's been just a few to name, and of course, one of the highest profile who we would talk about here tonight in our SmackDown review, WWE's Matt Riddle, WWE's Jordan Devlin, Jack Gallagher, who in fact has been released from WWE, Jim Cornette, and there's others. Some of those that I just mentioned there, they have all been subject of allegations, and I believe all of those that I just listed, either themselves or through legal representation, have at least responded denying the accusations that have been put against them. So that's that. We're not really going to talk much more about this because, just to be honest with the fans, this is live right now as I'm speaking. Rate of SmackDown just went off the air. By the time somebody might listen to this tomorrow or Sunday, a lot of things could change. So much is happening. This is such a fluid situation. So follow Wrestling Inc., which will continue to update and stories. But other than just giving you those quick facts of here's who has been has had allegations leveled against them, there's nothing else to say, because everything else we say is just going to be speculation. We can say the obvious, which is sexual misconduct is a terrible thing. But beyond that, in terms of it's not appropriate, obviously, to even question the credibility or whatever. It's just speculation. So that's that. I know we're going to talk about Matt Riddle here in a moment in the SmackDown review. So please don't super chat. Please do not spend your money asking us and begging us to comment on anybody else and anybody who's been accused of anything, because we're just not going to do it. So if you want more information, if you're hearing for this for the first time, go to wrestlinginc.com. And you'll get the full story. But otherwise, let's stick to SmackDown tonight, and we do have some other news stories not related to the speaking out movement.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with the sheer volume of what's been said thus far, I think there's no way we could possibly do it justice here. But yeah, Wrestling Inc. will have the latest on all of these details as they come forward in developments. So that being said, I really wasn't in the mood to watch SmackDown tonight.
I mean, there were some things going into this. Again, just talking about X's and O's and storyline, they're a big hype that we're going to get a new Firefly Funhouse, which that ultimately is what ends SmackDown tonight. Again, just talking about wrestling, they've been hyping that Matt Riddle would be coming to SmackDown, and we had heard that tonight. The SmackDown, of course, was already filmed earlier this week, so they've been out on Wrestling Inc. and other websites that Matt Riddle's first appearance on SmackDown would be tonight. We had no idea in what capacity and promo match, who would involve, and we got a little bit of everything tonight with him, as we'll get into it in a second. I thought there was a lot going into the SmackDown of interest. It wasn't a terrible one. I really think it started strong of interest. It ended strong with interest. There were some things in the middle that as Raj would say, were there. But overall, not a bad episode.
Yeah, it moved. There were some things that I liked. I think, it's crazy, man. Matt Morgan should be here soon. He's just wrapping up some Longwood business. Fun times with the games, $1.99, saying, Justin, you give Stone Cold vibes. So there you go.
And that's the bottom line, son, because Stone Cold said so. Is it because I'm bald now too? Is that the Stone Cold vibes?
Oh, there you go. Just need a vest and some beers,
No, I think I got half that equation here.
But do you want to talk about the Orlando news and some of the other stuff? Because I think Matt's gonna be a few more minutes, and I don't want to get into SmackDown before Matt's here.
We have NXT and AEW ratings. We have a couple superstars who have moved to different rosters. So I guess we'll start with the rosters real quick here. Dolph Ziggler and Ali have both now been moved to the Raw brand. They were both previously on Friday Night SmackDown. Dolph, it is what it is. Dolph's been back and forth. Dolph obviously was heavily involved in the Otis, Mandy, Sonya soap opera, but he's kind of served his purpose there. So that's not so much surprising. And again, Raw has such younger, newer, less established name. So I think putting a veteran heel in Dolph is wise, because they don't have a lot of credible heels on Raw when you really break the columns down. But Ali, Glenn, Ali is the interesting one, because Ali was who we thought and we're hearing was the prime suspect to be the SmackDown hacker, which has disappeared for weeks. I don't know how many weeks it's been since we've seen a new hacker appearance. And so him moving to Raw would maybe signal either they're moving the hacker gimmick over to Raw, or they're just scrapping it altogether, or they're going to make it be somebody else, and it's not going to be Ali.
That would be interesting. After all this.
After all that, yeah. So those guys have moved to Raw again. We'll see when their first appearance comes. No word on if this has anything to do. Again, like I said, Dolph makes sense for when you draw the line on each side of the fence of how many heels, how many faces you have. But maybe again, Raw is now also being ran by Bruce Pritchard, who's overseeing day-to-day SmackDown. So I don't know if that's what Bruce calls recognizing that he needed Dolph and Ali over on Raw or what, but we will certainly keep an eye on Mondays to see how they come into play. And for Wednesdays, obviously myself, Glenn, and Matt here on Wednesday nights talking the Wednesday night war between NXT and AEW Dynamite. The numbers are in for this past week. Dynamite once again did beat NXT, but once again, not by much. It was a pretty narrow margin. Dynamite drawing 772,000 viewers. That is up 14% from the previous week. So they did go up. So 772,000, topping NXT, which did 746,000. So both shows, I believe, are up from the weeks prior. NXT again falling victim, but they've really narrowed a gap. There hasn't been a runaway of Dynamite in a while, and even a few weeks ago, NXT I think did top them. So pretty even keel shows, which I think if people watch our Wednesday nights, I think all three of us have been pretty in agreement of that the last few weeks. It's been very even, and at times NXT's had things that we thought that were better than AEW. So certainly, pretty even and compelling matchup between these two shows on Wednesday nights right now. Yeah.
Do you want to touch upon the Orlando news? Has there been any word about how Orlando's mandated mask policy is going to affect WWE?
Yeah, no, I have no word on that. Not much more in Orlando that I know of, Glenn. Just since Wednesday, I mean, obviously WWE trying to play catch up to getting test results on the talent, trying to get stuff filmed. NXT was basically live this past Wednesday. Like I said, this SmackDown tonight was aired earlier, or was taped earlier this week. It looks like next Friday's SmackDown they're going to film next Friday. They're going to film it just a few hours before it airs live. So that's a little bit unusual in these times of them on closed sets trying to produce a lot and get it in the can. I don't know if we have much more. Was there something else in Orlando that I'm missing that you were alluding to, or is that
no? I mean, I think it's interesting how people are speculating based on it. I mean, so I read the ordinance and it did say it was public spaces. Obviously the Performance Center is a private business. It's not like wrestlers are going to have to wear masks in the ring.
No,
based on my interpretation and understanding of it.
No, but yeah, it's been just in the sports world in general today. I mean, there's a lot of sports. Obviously, the sports teams that are based in Florida, and then Florida also, it had been a state that had been looking at it, bringing the NBA in and having a residency there in Orlando for the NBA to get some games and a playoff in, and of course, Florida is where spring training goes on. So all this talk of Major League Baseball, can they get something going? Would they have teams working out in Florida, because Florida's governor was welcoming pro teams to go there. And right now we're seeing several Tampa Bay Lightning hockey players have tested positive. So a lot of facilities are being shut down now by sports teams. It's just been a real wild day, real wild week. Well, it's a freaking wild year. But yeah, Florida obviously being very much reopened, or starting to see, unfortunately, starting to see some bad repercussions. It would see based upon the timeline and the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't even a second wave. I feel like the first wave never stopped.
Yeah,
the wave has to end at some point. It's crazy. So with all that and everything hanging over the developments of this week, we went into SmackDown tonight, live from the Performance Center. which started with the Intercontinental title recap of AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, which led AJ Styles out to the ring with Renee Young and talking about his win over Daniel Bryan, inviting Daniel Bryan to come and put the belt on him, talking about who's going to get that next opportunity. Bryan suggesting Drew Gulak. And then when that happened, we had Matt Riddle come out and step to AJ Styles, the fans chanting bro, and setting up this promo between them in the ring.
Yeah, so Matt Riddle makes the a little bit of a fun exchange here. AJ saying, "I know who you are, but what are you doing here? You want a handout?" AJ touting himself as the the face that runs this place, and Riddle quips back, "I'm the bro that runs the show." And so, back and forth they go verbally, and then it comes into a match. The ring announcer, Greg Hamilton, gets ready to say and announce this as an Intercontinental title match, and AJ cuts him off, saying, no, he doesn't get an IC title match, and comically justifies it as no shoes, no shirt, no title match, as Riddle, of course, wrestles barefoot. So we get a non-title contest here, and it was a good, really good match between these two guys. I think probably has to be first time ever. I can't ever imagine how these two would have crossed paths otherwise prior to their WWE and NXT days. So good fun match here. And, Daniel Bryan was on the outside. They had the roster there, very much kind of like lumberjack style, helps make some more noise. Daniel Bryan, of course, called in some distraction here with AJ's focus, but it wasn't a distraction that makes the win by Matt Riddle dirty. It was a clean victory. He got his finisher and everything on AJ, cut AJ's springboard, phenomenal elbow and forearm. He cut that off, put his finisher in there. So, Matt Riddle, this is a big win for him, a non-title big win on his debut, clean against AJ Styles. And then the babyfaces get in the ring and give him the celebration. Give them they're embracing him, they're putting him on, they're hugging him, doing everything. So, again, this was taped a few days ago, but certainly this was the plan. Matt Riddle coming in and making a big, big splash on this first night of SmackDown. We'll see what follows up after this.
Yeah, and not for the title.
Not for the title. So yeah, AJ Styles still champion, and I believe it was a new Intercontinental title belt. It definitely had obviously AJ's plates on the side of it, as custom now they do with the talent holding it. But I believe chat room will have to correct me. That Intercontinental title looked new to me, unless I haven't been paying attention to the IC title. It looked very new.
Yeah, it was something, man. I mean, it's definitely putting him over. No shirt, no shoes. I like whenever they work that in with Matt Riddle. That's what AJ said. No shirt, no shoes, no title opportunity. Yeah,
we'll see how long. Again, I hope, because it's kind of like a part of match shtick is the no shoes, but and then the wrestling barefoot. But we'll see. I mean, I think I noted on this podcast the last WWE talent to try to get to work barefoot and just have tape around his feet for any extended period of time on the Raw or SmackDown main roster, as Raj would say, was Rusev. And then Rusev, I believe, I don't know if he broke his ankle or did something, but then after, I think it was a spot of him going over the top rope to the outside, injured himself, and then after that he wrestled in boots for the remaining time of his WWE tenure. So Vince supposedly is not a big fan of talents wrestling barefoot, so we'll see how long the bro barefoot shtick can hang around.
Now here's my question, Justin. What's actually worse to have on your face? Somebody's bare feet or somebody's shoes?
Good question. I guess it both depend on where the boots, where the feet been, right?
So this is my logic on this. If you were just wearing shoes, and socks, and you took those off, and then it was your bare feet, yes, you could say maybe they've been in there all day, maybe they smell, but it's limited to that person's feet. If you've been wearing those shoes all day, think of all the things they've stepped in. Think of all the things they've encountered in their trials and tribulations throughout this thing we call life. And then to have the germs of thousands of miles of walking, because you never wash your shoes. Think about that. You wash your shirts, you wash your pants, you wash your socks, your underwear. In fact, socks. I'm going to say socks are probably the thing. If I had to pick between the three, bare feet, shoes, or socks, I'm going to say socks are where it's at. Socks get washed on a regular basis. They're probably the most hygienic of the three options.
I never thought we'd be having this conversation. I mean, I guess there's a point to it, because, wrestlers, they might wear zip ups and hoodies and shorts and stuff like that over top of their wrestling gear backstage, because they just to feel more normal, be covered up, maybe to keep warm or whatever. But wrestlers, you lace the boots up because that's a little time consuming as is. So they are walking around for the hours and time before the match, usually in their boots backstage. Whereas guys that wrestle barefoot, usually they walk around maybe in some flip flops and then just kick the flip flops off before they take before they go through the curtain. So yeah, I mean who knows where the boots have been, and but yeah, so we'll see how the bro barefoot thing goes, but anyways, again, just looking at this as the wrestling match and the booking, this was a huge nod to Matt Riddle that it seems that the plan is for him to be a major player on Fridays.
Alonzo Smith saying, I don't think Matt Riddle owns shoes. He even admitted to that during the promo with AJ. That's even worse. That's insult upon injury. You're walking around on your bare feet all day, experiencing the world through those heels, through those toes, and then to rub that on the face along with the foot germs. That's worst of both worlds.
I feel like you're not barefoot too often, Glenn. I feel like you're.
I have cats, so when I'm barefoot, it's like I get litter, because they track litter throughout the house. We have to sweep and vacuum all the time. We have tile also instead of carpet, so when I walk around on my feet, you really feel what's on the floor with tile. Now there are benefits to tile. In the summertime, tile cools down overnight. It doesn't really warm up again until middle or later of the day. So I like it. Tile is perhaps what makes warm weather bearable.
I'm not a cat person. I couldn't live with cats.
You're into dogs? Dog person?
I have a dog. I've always been more of a dog. Cats just don't. Sorry.
Interesting.
Sorry.
Cats versus dogs on the next episode of Wrestling Inc.
I'm not a cat. Cats and I, no.
But there's one thing the cat people and dog people can agree upon. Those bird people. Those bird people are freaking crazy.
Oh yeah, you don't need to be owning birds. No.
Yeah, the bird people. Jewel Slinger $9.99, and I say that one of my best friends owns birds. Jewel Slinger $9.99. Justin, congrats on your new Busted Open segment. You'll bring a lot of insight to that show, and look forward to next week.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I guess cheap plug since Jewel Slinger sent me up here today, this morning. Started the morning podcast, and I'm in the morning, ending the day podcasting. This morning, Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and every Friday after that. On Busted Open with Dave LaGreca and Mark Henry. So thank you very much for that nice comment.
Matt Morgan, the hot question on everyone's mind, is it worse to have a wrestler hit you with their bare feet or the boots that they've been wearing all day and experiencing the germs of the world on? If you had to get kicked in the face by someone, do you want somebody's bare, nasty foot touching your face, the moneymaker, or do you want the shoes or boots they've been wearing all day and trampling on God knows what?
Either is fine with me, because no matter what, I'm going to do what they call take a shower. Well, I will wash my face. Yeah. Why is that a question?
Because Matt Riddle wrestled his first match on SmackDown tonight barefoot, as he normally does, and we note how Vince doesn't normally like guys wrestling barefoot. Rusev was the last guy that he stopped from that. So I was noting, I wonder how long Vince will let the bro shoeless shtick hang around.
He needs to let us hang around because it separates him.
I agree.
Also,
but then Glenn got into this foot fetish conversation of would you
foot fetish?
I'm not Quentin Tarantino.
I'm just busting your balls.
And not that there's anything wrong with that. We shouldn't fetish shame people for what they like.
Really quick, I'm sorry, Glenn. I just wanted to apologize to the fans watching and listening right now. I had to handle some city business that was happening real quick, and I'm late, and I apologize. Sorry.
Also, this just occurred to me. Has anyone used the nickname for Matt Riddle and called him Shoeless Bro Jackson?
Oh, he needs to make that tomorrow. He needs to make that a t-shirt. Yes.
Yeah,
yes. That's awesome. Yes. But here's my question. Are we so old? Hang on. Are we so old, Glenn, that we know who Shoeless Joe Jackson was with Chicago? Was it Black Sox or White Sox?
Yes, I did a report. I saw the movie 8 Men Out. This was
great movie.
Let me tell you my life hack as a child. If I needed to do a report on something, if I could watch a movie first rather than read a book, I'd be like, well, this is easy. I'm going to watch the movie and I'll give the report. So I did a report on the Black Sox.
But the hook here is, are we too old where our audience has no idea what we're talking about?
Maybe they do.
Okay.
Maybe they don't. I used to like to give book reports based on movies that were based on books, and I would hope that no one would figure that out. Teachers always.
You're so funny.
Spark Notes, that was the way to go.
What's Spark Notes? I don't know.
Yeah, we're too old for that, man. We had Cliff Notes back in our day.
Yes, we did.
Spark Notes was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, a cheap way to get the Cliff Notes of a book and have to do a report. It was online though. It was like a blog.
Nate Monroe, $1.99. Matt, what's the hardest match type to put together?
Ooh, good question. That's actually a really good question. I would say a tag team match versus a singles, obviously, right? Because it's just you and your opponent and that you're responsible for. Tag team, you have more ideas being integrated. You could do more cool things. That or a melee. And if you ever notice melees, like where people break up a match where there's like multiple participants, let's say 8 to 10, then you get everybody going into the business for themselves, is what I've always found. Everybody try to get their bleep in, so to speak. So I would say either a melee or a tag match. Yeah.
And I would have to imagine, especially when you get into like 6-man or 8-man tags, because it's just even more moving parts.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Matt Riddle's debut? What do you think of Matt Riddle's debut tonight? Oh, Matt froze.
Bueller?
Now we hear you. There we go. What do you think of Matt Riddle tonight?
Awesome. I'm excited for
It's
him.
the strongest debut they've had for an NXT talent since like Kevin Owens and Finn Balor.
No question. I think even, I don't even want to say because I'm going to curse it, but I wanted to say, all right, if you're going inside my head right now, that even Vince gets it when it comes to Matt Riddle. I just cursed him. I know I probably just did. I hope I did.
There you have it. So after that tonight, this promo with Jeff Hardy talking to Renee Young.
What to everybody that's listening?
Well, he was talking about his roller coaster of life, emotionally and physically. He's back from injuries. 42 now. I thought Jeff Hardy was older than I am. He's done a lot of living in those 42 years. He says, despite the bad times, his life is amazing. He talked about his loss to Sheamus, talked about his family. He has to stop himself because of the cycle of thinking it's out of control. He's an adrenaline junkie since he was 8 years old. He knows he's an alcoholic. That's okay. And he says he's overcome bigger obstacles than Sheamus, and he's not done yet.
And he's 100% right.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about that promo he cut tonight. He has overcome bigger obstacles, and I would argue he still is as we speak with life. And this hit home. Everybody knows that's watching this, that's fans of this podcast. I'm a 14-year recovered, very loud and proud addict. And when I hear Jeff talk, I know Jeff personally. This was Jeff personal. This was shoot Jeff Hardy, and I really appreciated this promo tonight. I really did.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue and say that doesn't get more baby faced than this. I mean, this is
Yes.
Because, like Matt was just saying, I mean, Jeff's been very open about who he is and the mistakes he's made and what he is, and so like by him owning that,
love it. I love it because there's a kid out there watching it, Justin. Yeah. That one day will be an addict and will remember what Jeff said, or there's an addict currently, do you know what I mean, who's struggling with addiction that will see this.
Yeah, and then him, it was the ultimate babyface promo with that, and then when you take it back into the pro wrestling booking, he calls Sheamus a bully. I mean, you don't get more babyface than this. You don't.
Yeah, man. Hey, really quick before we move on, Justin, I want to congratulate you really quick on being a reoccurring guest on. That's huge, dude.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just saying just as you came on because somebody
busted wide open.
Yeah, busted open on Sirius XM channel 156 every Friday morning. If you're listening live at 10 a.m. Eastern, myself, Dave LaGreca, and Mark Henry, and then it's on podcast. It's on the Sirius XM on demand. We got a great amount of feedback today and great Great stuff.
I talked to Bubba Ray Dudley the other day because I've been making my dialing for dollars, as they call it, for my campaign, right? Trying to raise as much money as I can to get my message out, why I'm the better person to vote for, right? And anyways, I talked to Bubba Ray, and even he made mention of it. So that's awesome, Justin. I'm happy for you.
That's good, because I know he's not always the biggest fan of internet people. So
no,
that's good to hear.
You got to earn his respect slowly, but you will. And he made mention of it, so that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I was really excited to hear him say that. Actually,
thank you very much. Thank you. And what's cool too is they're giving me, they're not censoring me, so I'm able to talk about what we do here in Wrestling Inc. and promote these kind of things. So
that's cool.
Yeah, really cool. So thank you very much, and thank you. And there's been a crap ton of positivity on social media today about that to me, and I really appreciate it. So
in a day and age where there's no positivity on the internet right now, sincerely. That's awesome to hear, and you deserve this, Justin. You busted your ass for many years covering this. I was an active wrestler, for crying out loud, when I remember hearing your name first and foremost. So,
thank you.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, congratulations. Shorty G backstage tonight with Kayla Braxton. When Mojo Raleigh came up from behind, Shorty mentioned having eyes in the back of his head, turned around and dropped Mojo's right hand.
He mentioned he has eyes in the back of his head?
Yeah, he said, what he said something along that being like the little guy, you've got to have eyes in the back of your head. They subverted what we thought.
So, P.S. He has had the sit-down conversation with Vince McMahon that I had when Vince sold the stuttering character to me. This is very apparent to me because that is a Vince line. I swear to you, that's a Vince McMahon line.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for those bullies, pal.
P.S. I'm a bully.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I just enough now. Enough with the Shorty. Enough with how
stupid. Like what separates him from the other short guys? Like I don't understand this.
Yeah,
he has eyes in the back of his head.
Well, and well, and in the opening in the Matt Riddle AJ Styles match, it was like lumberjack style. They had the faces and heels out there.
Yeah.
And when they were having to hold Daniel Bryan back from fighting with AJ, Shorty G was one of the ones holding Bryan back, and he's like the same height as Bryan.
Yes,
we don't make a big deal. We don't make a big deal about Daniel Bryan's height.
We don't, and that's why it's silly.
It would have been 100 times cooler if he said he calls this his Shorty sense, like Spidey sense.
Glenn, you had a homer with the shoeless Bro Jackson, and then you have and then you get hit by a pitch with that one.
I'm trying to find laughs and smiles wherever I can tonight,
dude. That I'm dead serious though. If Matt Riddle, which I guarantee you doesn't watch our show, but he should be, shoeless Bro Jackson is a Grand Slam T-shirt. Get on it, dude.
And Shorty G versus Mojo Raleigh short match. See what I did there?
He'll be here all week. He'll be here all week. Tip your waitresses.
With Shorty G picking up a win.
Which, honestly, I didn't think he was going to get the win here.
Yeah.
Did you guys?
He got the better of Mojo in the promo and the match. It seemed like 50-50 would dictate otherwise.
Yes, exactly. And Raj Giri tries to take ownership of this formula of this 50-50 booking predictions, which I've tried to explain to Raj thousands of times. He is not the first person to come up with this.
It's called Rajanomics.
No, it's called being a wrestler backstage and watching how it happens right in front of me and being included in that 50-50 booking.
So after this, we had Miz TV. They were out there with Mandy.
Guys, I apologize. I've got to switch my headset. I apologize. Continue, though. Sorry.
I was going to apologize for Miz TV, which, somebody. No, Miz TV was actually entertaining tonight. They were doing their shtick. They had Mandy Rose out. They were asking about Sonya Deville. They were interrupted by Sonya. This was different tonight. In fact, I'd go as far as to say I'd forgotten that Sonya even has entrance music. I feel like this is the first time I really heard it tonight.
It's been several weeks. Yeah, easily.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it sound terrible?
No.
It's okay.
I actually think you sound better than what you
I
did.
apologize. I have 2% battery left, so I had to plug my phone in, take my headphones out. I apologize.
It's okay. Justin Lopez, $5. I cringe every time someone utters the word Shorty G, and I love Gable, but I can't get behind someone with that name.
I agree. Justin Lopez is probably one of our best, forget Super Chat, one of our best friends that follows the show, obviously. I agree with him.
Yeah, it's good takes. And Amin Jassim wants to know, Matt, how much time did you spend working on promos?
Every morning. I swear to God is my witness. Every single morning I would wake up, and before I would take a shower, in the morning to wake up, I'm cutting the promo in my bathroom in front of the sink, in front of the mirror, because I learned at an early age in wrestling that I got to work on my facials, my body language, and things like that. Like, we didn't have at the time camera phones that could record everything. I wish when I started they did, but they didn't. So I would cut all these promos. My wife would sit there and just laugh at me all morning long, which would mess with my head and go, okay, I'm still not there yet. She's clowning me here. But what I learned was that she was wrong, actually, and that it was improving. It was helping me improve my promos. So honestly, I swear to God, as my witness, I really do. Every single morning and night before I took a shower, I would, waiting for the water to heat up, I'd be cutting promos on Undertaker, Kane, The Rock, Stone Cold, The Big Show, Vince, Stephanie, Hunter, all of them. I had a built-in promo for every single one of them. And then I got it to a point where I had a built-in promo for everybody on the roster, all the way down to like Funaki, Scotty Too Hot, you name them. I had a promo for everybody built in here.
Wow.
Matt, did you ever have to go through like the exercise of you're in the room with said coach or executive, and they see something in the room and they say, cut me a promo about the sticky notepad, or cut me a promo about the...
No, because they always knew I could talk. And that's what was so ironic about the stuttering character. And how Vince sold this to me, Glenn, was the fact that I was so sure of myself speaking that he thought that I would be able to pull it off, because I am confident enough in real life to be able to pull that off. Whereas I told you guys, I don't know if you remember, he did want to put this on Brock Lesnar, dead serious.
Just imagine that.
Instead of the next big thing, we could have had the next big starter. Like, seriously. Like, so while I love Vince and I love how genius he's been over the years with his business, obviously, he's the PT Barnum of wrestling. Love him or hate him, he is. But this was a terrible idea.
I feel like with PT Barnum, people really talk about the overall picture. They never say, like, elephants balancing on a ball. Like, that was so over back in the day. I think we're just giving him credit for everything, I mean, granted, trapeze artists are pretty badass.
Tom Thumb was his Hulk Hogan. He was. Tom Thumb was crazy over.
Wrestling enthusiast Buck99, Matt, what are your thoughts on the pen promos?
Cut a promo on a pen?
Yeah.
Okay, so like that's every sales job. Like a sales manager thinks he's really slick saying, so here's a pen. I'm going to get him with this. Go ahead and sell this pen to me. Anytime if anybody ever put that in front of me, P.S., if you guys are in sales watching this, never talk about the pen. Talk about yourself.
Yeah.
Talk about how people will buy you, not that pen. You could take a Bic. You could take any bottom line pen. You could take a marker. Hell, you could take a crayon. You could even write like this. It will not matter. What matters is the person behind that object and instrument that will do the selling for you, sir. So if you want to sit here and talk about pens, talk to the next person. I'm here to be your best salesman you've ever had in your life. What do you want to do? If you guys go on sales jobs, you need to say that. P.S. You're welcome.
I always like the, any man can just take a simple stick and scribble out an X. But with this pen, the contour, the way it feels in your hand, this is something you make your mark on the world with. You write your name and people pay attention.
No, you bit. You're not supposed to bite on it. You're not supposed to bite on it.
I work in sales.
You're too good to tell them about the pen.
See, that's why my approach to sales is different than everyone else's. I literally try and...
you, Glenn. Everybody loves you. on this show, everybody loves you.
The reason why my clients love
that
me
makes the difference, not the object.
The reason why my clients love me is because I'm more about education. I'm more about trying to provide value. It's not about you just have to buy this. It's about, let me tell you how I'm going to give you the most value and the way I can work with you to get you the most for your money.
Too, on top of it, though.
Yeah. Well, I think that's how you build trust, right? Because everybody sees it coming from a mile away when someone just says you have to spend this money and it'll all be blue skies from there, you know?
Good point.
I didn't want to do sales for my entire life, and I'm so glad I got into it. But that was the thing I was most reluctant to do in my entire life, and that's because of the bad rap that salespeople get. Anyhow, Michael Manfrey, $5. We need to see Matt Morgan versus Kane in a last Mayor standing match on a future SmackDown. Cities don't battle each other anymore. It's always like the friendly Super Bowl bet. And like they send out like a gift basket of like wine and cheese or something when someone wins.
Yeah.
Nate Monroe, $1.99 was so Matt. Why didn't Elix Skipper win the TNA title?
Is that a real question?
They paid money. They paid money to ask that question.
I apologize. Hey, listen, let me answer. Nate, I apologize. I wasn't at TNA when Elix was there, but holy mackerel, was he talented. Oh my God. Still to this day, they run the same clip of him tiptoeing across the top of the cage and throwing a Rana on, I think it was Chris Harris or Storm, one of the two, from America's Most Wanted. Like, seriously, that will be the best highlight in TNA history for years to come. He was a stud athlete. And, you know, Elix was such a good man. He was a good man in real life, too.
Steve Marcuccielli, $1.99, Mr. Morgan versus Taker or Andre. Pick one.
Oh, you jerk for asking me that, Steve. Those are my two favorites. Andre. Gotta go Andre.
Okay.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Hey, listen. The first time I got hooked, Glenn. Oh, boy. Sorry. Glenn. This is impossible.
It's the Blair Witch Project in Matt's car right now.
No, to put the charger in at the same time in my phone while I'm filming this and hold this on the steering wheel is next to impossible. But I'm doing it for you folks. Listen, Andre the Giant.
And Matt Morgan was never seen again.
Andre the Giant, as I was saying, before rudely interrupted by my charger. Listen, guys, I'm being serious. When Andre the Giant has head shaved, right? When Big John Studd and Ken Patera cut his hair, I cried like a baby. I really did. That was the first storyline that ever emotionally made me get hooked in something wrestling-wise. So Andre the Giant has always been my first all-time favorite wrestler, with Undertaker right there. So he got it on the point on the point of asking the right two people to pick between. So yeah, Andre.
Glenn Lipkin with the deep cut. Best promo captured: Steuben, Gopher, or Julie?
Wait, what?
It's a Love Boat question.
Oh, wait a minute. We're talking Love Boat. I'm not going with any of them. I'm going with what's my man's name?
Isaac the bartender.
Yes.
Everybody would say Isaac.
Isaac was charismatic as hell. Isaac.
Yes, Isaac's where it's at. Back to tonight, Steve B. $10. I think Sonya was fired tonight. She's doing great as a heel. When and if she turns face, it'll be awesome if we get crowds back. Thank you guys for everything you do. Good luck with your election, Matt.
Thank you very much, Steve B. Dude, I agree with you 100%. I think the whole show agrees with you 100%. I don't watch too many. I don't listen or watch too many of the other podcasts, but I will predict that we were at the very forefront of wanting the best for her and singing her praises for quite a long time now. We've talked about built-in storylines they have with her that they're not taking advantage of, and they should be. But yeah, like we've been singing Sonya's praises for how long, Glenn?
Yeah. No, she was great tonight, and I like that it was a little more nuanced tonight.
Yes.
This wasn't just the same talking point she's been repeating again and again against Mandy. So we have the New Day versus Lucha House Party. Lucha House Party getting to wrestle like more of a match than usual. I feel like lately they've been getting more time and opportunity.
I don't want it, Glenn. I don't want it. I want less Lucha House Party.
Well, and I think I think, and I believe we probably have a little bit more of this on Wrestling Inc., but this was a substitution of. Originally, they were moving in the direction of the Forgotten Sons with New Day, and they have abandoned that. So.
I don't care. Sense. I do not like Lucha House Party. I'm sorry. I say it every week.
They're so good. What? Why are you signing me like that?
They could be good. Listen, they could be good, and I don't have to like them. I don't like them.
Bite your tongue, Matt Morgan.
Jerk.
Knock your phone over.
I thought that this was good, but when you put Bayley and Sasha on commentary, this was the case where commentary I thought overshadowed the match. I was more interested in what Bayley and Sasha had to say.
I will agree with that. Me too.
And
it didn't seem like you didn't need them out there for this.
And the New Day getting the win was, was good. I mean, but yeah, it was really after the bell. It was about Cesaro and Nakamura rushing the ring, destroying Big E, and them just attacking them. Cesaro yelling at commentary, talking about he's sick and tired of how they're treated. They're a top team. He's been there 8 years. And then we went backstage. We saw Alexa Bliss, Tamina, Dana Brooke, Naomi, and Lacey Evans talking about Sasha and Bayley, and they couldn't figure out where Nikki Cross was. We came back from there. We saw Sheamus. He said next week he's going to toast Jeff Hardy, so we'll see how that goes. Peacefully, I am sure. They'll both sing Irish drinking songs, and it'll be lovely. Jeff Hardy will bust out Danny Boy. A good time will be had by all. But when we came back to the ring, Nikki Cross out of nowhere attacking Sasha and Bayley with Alexa Bliss breaking it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm really liking WWE in general, just with all the women. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I just feel like the women are getting a good spotlight, and maybe part of it's happening because if you look at all the roster cuts that happened back in April, I believe it was all males. I don't even think a female was cut. So maybe that's and of course the women are doing great work. So, but altogether, it's lended a hand that I think Raw, SmackDown, NXT. We're just seeing great presentation of a lot of women. There's 2, or I guess we've counted NXT. There's 3 women's world titles, and then there's tag titles. But I feel like we're seeing even more women getting to be featured, which is great because they deserve it.
Yeah,
and it's not just because. I'm sorry, this is in my way. It's not just because they're women either. It's because honestly, they're the best, in my opinion. If you were to compare male versus females right now, for more bang for your buck, it's not even debatable right now, in my opinion. The females right now are carrying this company. I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Their storylines are better. They just are. Their characters are more defined. Their storylines are more defined.
Yeah, and you said characters, Matt. What I think's really cool is that there's a defined line. Every one of those women that WWE has, for the most part, you can easily define as a character, but it's not to the point of where it's 1995 cartoonish. Like they're all like very loud in their character. Like Lacey Evans, she's loud in her character.
The best. She's my favorite one.
We can go through all of them, but they stop at a point of being cartoonish. So like it's a perfect mix. Unfortunately there are some male performers in WWE and in every company, but that are a little bit too generic. Like you're like, well, who is this guy? What does he mean?
Most of them are.
Yeah.
My friends tonight. Listen, I made my friends tonight watch a little bit of the show. That's the feedback I kept getting, and these are the same friends that I made watch some AEW that still today are talking about, well, this doesn't compare to what they were doing in the football stadium. Like, last time you showed this to me, man, I'm like, this is a different company.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know.
No, that is true. So this led to Sasha Banks versus Nikki Cross. Sasha Banks getting a win here. What's that?
Can you guys hear me okay? Is your static?
It's a little garbled and staticky now. Try going off and coming back on.
Okay, I'll try new headphones, guys, and we come back. I apologize to the fans.
Yeah. I'll just bear with us, folks. I thought this match was good. I thought the angle was good. I like I think they could have done more with the segment with the women backstage. Even like I think that was an interesting, different kind of promo segment. And when they were like, "Where's Nikki?" It's funny that. And speaking of which, though,
it was kind of like the babyface militia.
Well, there were no heels anymore on SmackDown. I mean, Lacey, it's like the problem Degrassi Junior High used to have. They'd introduce like the bad boy or the bully, or Degrassi the Next Generation did this even more. Degrassi the Next Generation would introduce like a bad kid, and then they just start softening him up, and it'd be like, well, he's not such a bad guy, but he'd start off like, oh, he's bad, he's evil, he's wrong. And then, you get, oh, he's humanized. He just comes from a bad home and he's got, problems relating to people.
All right. What show are you referencing? I'm not following this.
You never watched Degrassi? The Canadian 90210?
No.
It was big in the States. Degrassi the Next Generation was huge in the States.
What years?
You know what it is, dude? Because I'll tell you why this is. You're the exact in between. The original Degrassi Junior High ran 1987 to 1990, and Degrassi the Next Generation ran 2001 to like 2016. So you grew up right in the window.
I was born. I was born in 87.
Yeah, you were too young for the original series and just a little too old to have grown up on the second series. I only watched the second series because I was a big fan of the first series, and they brought back the original characters as adults and teachers and stuff.
Yeah, when you said high, like I can tell you Bayside High. I can go deep into Saved by the Bell. I can do Vanderbilt High, go deep in Family Matters, as we all know.
Yeah, Drake was on Degrassi. That's where Drake came up.
Really?
Yeah, he was Jimmy. He got shot in the school shooting episode and had to use a wheelchair after that.
Well, that was a fun fact I didn't know.
Yeah, Degrassi, man. Show was it Shanae Grimes, who was on the 90210 reboot.
I did a deep dive on Johnny Gill today because I watched Johnny Gill on an old episode of Family Matters tonight.
Well, aside from Rub You the Right Way and his career with New Edition, what is there really to dive into?
God, and my wife wanted me to bring up Rub You, so we had to like pull up YouTube so she could see the dance moves and hear the lyrics. Yes.
Johnny Gill I like a lot, but his range, actually, it's funny. He has the opposite problem of Ralph Tresvant. Ralph Tresvant's range is so high, and Johnny Gill's range is so low that in New Edition, it's awesome, the way that it blends together with the other guys, but you get them on their own, and it's just like listening to treble or bass.
So as people that are regulars of this podcast know, I have a deep dive with Family Matters. I've talked about, I got Jaleel White, Kelly Shaneen Williams, all of them I've been able to Twitter connect with and social media connect with. Glenn, you working in podcasts, if I can get Jaleel White, and then of course he'd help the assistance of the other key cast members, if I can get a Family Matters podcast going, where like we each episode is, or each episode of the podcast is about a different episode of the show, and we have different people from the show that come on.
You want Blue Chew to sponsor it? I'll make it happen.
I don't care who, but you represent so many. I mean, you can figure out the market. If I can get a Family Matter, if I message Jaleel White right now and I can get a Family Matters podcast up and running by 2021, will you help?
I absolutely, and I want him to say, guys, remember back when I used to be Steve Urkel? Let me tell you how you can become Stefan Urkel.
Blue Chew right there. Blue Chew and Manscaped. Take care of everything.
Well, Mark Paul Gosselaar is doing the Saved by the Bell, Zach to the Future, I believe is what it's called, the Saved by the Bell rewatch podcast that was announced this week. So isn't that crazy that that's become like a thing now? I mean, Office Ladies, well, actually before that, I guess Office Ladies was the first one to start that, where Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey rewatched The Office and talked about it. Mm-hmm. It's amazing that they're that hardcore friends. I've been listening to a podcast called Six and Jump. No one who was on the show, but it's Big J. Okerson and Ari Shaffir and another comedian, where they watch 21 Jump Street episode by episode. And each episode's like 40 minutes long. They spend 2 hours talking about each episode, riffing on it and making fun of it. That's been my podcast obsession as of late. But
I'm messaging Jaleel White tonight. We're gonna make this happen.
What are you gonna call the Family Matters podcast?
Oh, I don't know. Don't put me on the spot like that. We gotta think really good about that. But I don't know. I think that show went 9 seasons, so there's plenty of content. I mean, like, I don't know.
How are you gonna handle pre-Jaleel joining? Every episode, like the first couple episodes, Jaleel was like, "Yeah, I wasn't on this episode."
Well, so his first appearance, I think it was episode 12 in season 1. I mean, we would probably have to pick a different start play. Like, I don't think we started season 1, episode 1. We probably have to start somewhere else. But I think if it got established the podcast it is, we could probably then get some of the other cast members and we could relive and go through those first 11 prior to him, where the focus was supposed to be on Carl and Harriet, and Jaleel could just kind of look, we could get his honest takes before he's even walked onto the set. Like, what do you think of how the family was portrayed and how what the storylines were prior to you?
Nate Monroe, Buck99 saying he'll help. He has a podcast too, loves that show. I think the people want it.
People want it. Wait, this is going to have to happen. At least a true pitch has to happen.
I'll tell you. I think there's a lot to talk about, and maybe this is how you do it. And you have Jaleel as a part of it. Is maybe with the initial episodes, maybe do 2 at a time because it's a half-hour show. But you can also talk about the development from Perfect Strangers, the spinoff. But I think, let's be real, the people want Jaleel. That's the slogan. Like that's what they're waiting for. So you've got to find a way to get past those initial episodes. It's interesting that originally it was just supposed to be a guest spot. And I remember this from an issue of Entertainment Weekly in 1990 that he borrowed his father's glasses. Yes. His father was a dentist.
Yes.
And wore those to the audition and got the role, and they liked him so much they brought him back.
Well, and he credits there was a fraternity in the audience.
Yes,
and that's what he credits. That in between the scenes, that this fraternity just kept chanting Urkel, and they were so into him, and then and at first he was just like the weird kid who ate cheese and ate mice, who's getting set up on a date with Laura. But then as the seasons go on, all of a sudden he's next door neighbor. All of a sudden, Carl, it seemed like Carl had just ever discovered Steve when he's this 13-year-old annoying kid. But then as the seasons go on, no, Steve's loved Laura since kindergarten. He's been around since then. So they definitely built more of a backstory into him.
They retconned some things.
Yeah. Like it'd be great for a podcast, like in one podcast episode, like each podcast episode, there could be one thing, and it'd be towards the end, so you hang on for it, where Jaleel does he'll recite one line or one quick promo as Urkel in the Urkel voice, because he will not you can't get him to do that anymore. Like if he's on talk shows or if he's doing Comic-Cons, he doesn't reenact as Urkel. So if part of a podcast, if one of the allures is one time each episode, somewhere in the podcast, he's going to give you a Steve Urkel and a Steve Urkel character, I think that would be a huge draw.
No,
I better copyright this. Somebody else is going to steal this and trying to get in front of me.
Somebody's going to get to. You need to text him now.
I'm speaking way too much. Yes,
you need to just send a text to be like,
I'm putting the phone up, microphone down.
Yeah, be like, Jaleel, hit me up. Justin LaBar. Yes, that's right. Again.
His assistant answers, he's still out, Mr. LaBar. He'll get back to you after the pandemic's over.
I'm telling you, this is you got it, dude. This writes itself. Yeah, you got to give him that pitch. There we go.
I love these Friday nights.
Yeah, Matt Morgan's back. Matt just missed our entire.
I'm not even going to fill Matt in. He doesn't care.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. Matt, would you listen to a Family Matters recap podcast if Jaleel White co-hosted it with Justin and they went episode by episode?
I'm sorry. I usually love these types of shows, and that one was okay, but no.
Okay.
What was your favorite TGIF show?
I would have been better if you just answered no because I'm busy as a politician before you have to go in and slander my favorite show.
You have to be like, even if I had time, I wouldn't listen to this show.
I'm sorry. That was the weakest link for me on Friday night's TGIF for me.
What?
Dude, Webster destroyed that show. Just FYI. With George Papadopoulos, right?
Yes.
And Webster having the coolest house ever. He got
yes.
Listen, dude, Webster, I wanted that in my house so bad. The ability to crawl down from my room down a ladder and come out a huge grandfather clock. Dude, Webster had it all. I loved Webster.
We were talking about this the other night. My wife and I were looking at houses, and we both said, in our dream house, secret passages.
100%.
Absolutely.
Bro.
Yeah. Webster had that weird ending, though. Like, it never got a proper ending in the last episode. He went to live with his uncle in the city, and some guys were going to beat him up, and then it just, like, went to the credits, and that was the last episode of Webster.
I'm disappointed in myself. I don't remember this.
Yeah. He went to live with Ben Vereen, I believe.
Steve and Laura never got to get married because CBS just canceled the show and destroyed the sets before they could film the final episode. Talk about a...
Okay, so, like, listen, he was awesome with his Did I Do That and that whole stuff. That was cool. But It was the weak link, in my opinion, of the 4 shows, was it? That made up TJF?
Well, it was
Yeah.
4 at a
Just 2
time because it
hours.
was from 8 to 10,
8
and
to
then
10.
2020 was on at 10.
The weak link. I'm about to leave this podcast.
You listen. You had to battle Uncle Jesse, okay? Who I loved, Uncle Jesse.
Oh, and what did Step by Step do?
Oh.
Hey, let us have Urkel on our show too.
No. What about Perfect Stranger? Was Perfect Strangers not on Friday?
It was on Friday, I believe, at some point, wasn't it? Now I have to look this up now.
Wasn't Perfect Strangers though pre the TJF gimmick though?
I may have been. Now I got to look this up. I got to look up.
I will say this much. Hang on, Glenn. Thursday night was the best night. You had Cheers. You had Alex
Family Ties. Yeah, I agree.
That was
Night
a
Court.
great show. Night Court. Richard Moe.
Yes.
Great. Oh my! We were spoiled for TV. We really were.
Hey Matt, next time you want 5 minutes to kill, or you're sitting on the John and you need some entertainment, pull your phone out. Seriously, pull your phone out. Go to YouTube. Look up the best of Norm from Cheers. It's just a 5-minute compilation of him coming in the bar and just all of his little quips that he would give.
Best one-liners walking into a bar ever.
Yeah.
Hey Norm, what's happening? Hey Norm, what's shaking? And then he just
I love it. I love the one. He sat down at the bar and he asked Ted Dance's character for a beer, and he goes, Norm, it's 10 a.m. and he goes, well, float a Cheerio or something in it. You know?
Norm was awesome. How about this? My mom went to high school with John Ratzenberger, who played Cliff Clavin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting. You should have prefaced that, Matt, by saying, little known fact, my mom went to high school with John Ratzenberger. Little known fact. That's how Cliff Clavin started off all his
who also
trivia.
wasn't that the guy who went on to play I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old who went on to play Ham in Toy Story, the toy pig? He's
in every Pixar movie.
Oh.
Worthless information ever of a human being. That's
the most worth.
That's Cliff Clavin on Cheers.
Yes.
I still can't believe you put Family Matters last. Matt. I've had like respect for you for like 10 years. You and I have been in communication. This hurts.
The shows from TGIF, please.
There's a lot of them. Okay, well, originally it was Webster. It was Mr. Belvedere. It was the last season of Different Strokes when it moved over from NBC, and it was Benson. That was like the prototype of TGIF. They didn't call it TGIF by then. Yeah.
Can I just say then Benson would come in last place then?
But I mean, there's more. There's more. I mean, your big Just the 10 of Us stan. You know, like there was a lot. Dinosaurs was
Dinosaur. Knock the Mama.
Yeah, hanging with Mr. Cooper, Sister.
Sister was fun.
Marina.
No, we're getting way too. No. That was not original TGIF. I was way too old. I wasn't watching it then, like when Sister was on.
Okay, well, the very first TGIF was Full House when they called it TGIF. In 1989 was Full House, Family Matters, Perfect Strangers, and Just the 10 of Us. So that was the original.
Just the 10 of Us is last place for me on that list.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've tried to rewatch some episodes of Growing Pains. That is not aged well.
Growing Pains was oh, come on.
No, it was good at the time.
Actually, Cameron was awesome.
He was. Actually, my favorite thing when I rewatch it now, I think Alan Thicke is much funnier than we ever gave him credit for. As the dad.
And Maggie, I loved mom Maggie. I thought she was cool too.
And Ben Seaver, that lovable scam.
Ben Seaver. Wait, what was the guy? Go ahead, Glenn. What was his friend? What was Kirk Cameron's friend's name?
Boner Stabone.
There we go. I made him say it.
Andrew Koenig, may he rest in peace. Passed away about 10 years ago. Yeah, dude. And that, I mean, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but yeah, it was very, very tragic. Growing Pains, I'm just saying it hasn't aged that well. Head of the Class hasn't aged well either. And we talked about that. I've loved Head of the Class, but now it's, just a little dated. That's all.
Hey, different night of the week in the early to mid 90s, but how'd you guys feel about Home Improvement?
I think I was a little bit too old.
Yeah.
I was playing basketball like at the boys club at this time. You know what I mean?
I was much more. It's like when I don't know if you had this experience. Like, okay, so with MTV was like an identity when we were kids, right, Matt? But I had that same feeling when Fox launched with Married with Children, with 21 Jump Street, like with their whole Parker Lewis Can't Lose and Living Color, like Fox, The Simpsons.
Parker Lewis was awesome.
Yeah, like that was the cool network.
It was. You're correct.
Like if you watch CBS, like you were an old person back then.
But you're right about Fox. Fox was this upcoming, like I had this Married with Children shirt like when I was in fourth grade, and everybody thought I was like the coolest kid because of it.
Back to the show. Like people are giving super chats saying, please go back to talking about.
Oh, we're not done with SmackDown? Oh,
dorks. You guys are dorks.
You don't know how good we had it.
Come on, chat room. This is way better conversation.
Has Jaleel White joined the chat yet?
No, I'm not seeing him. Not seeing him
Why would he join the chat?
Because Justin's going to do his podcast. He's going to text Jaleel.
Oh, all right, there you go.
Yeah, he's going to make it happen. So Sasha Banks versus Nikki Cross. Sasha won. They stood tall. Nice congratulatory video package on Titus O'Neil being a finalist for ESPN's 2020 Muhammad Ali Award. That was really cool.
Great guy.
He is such a good guy, and he cut the best promo. I don't know if you guys caught it. I'm sure you did. He did a great job of talking about the police in his neighborhood, in his area. He is such a great man. Such a great man.
He is, and to follow up that, like for fans who like Titus this is not just a PR thing. Like Titus is one of the guys I've been fortunate to say that I've actually got to really know, and like the way he handles the raising of his kids, all the things he talks about, and preaches about, and puts on social. It's not a gimmick. He's lives.
A great man.
Yeah, he walks the talk. He practices what he preaches. He's a really.
So if you'll remember when they tried to do the joke stunt stuff with him tripping in the ring, I hated it. I hated it for that reason, because he's a thoroughbred athlete, first and foremost. But the University of Florida, he is a badass Hall of Famer for University of Florida. I remember him like yesterday playing. Like he wasn't just some backup or some scrub. He was a stud.
He sacked Peyton Manning a few times in Tennessee.
Yes, he was such a stud. And like with WWE, like they don't utilize him nearly enough.
No, not at all.
How good he's also good in the ring. He's a great promo. How hard could it be for these writers to write something for this man to be passionate about? It's not difficult.
Not since his feud with Rusev. Remember when he like lost on the 4th of July?
And he's like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah. Like I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't
never
either. So after that, and we'll get back to some TV talk because the chat room has some thoughts. But
by the way, Matt, do you know in Family Matters?
Disappointed. Hang on, I'm disappointed in the chat room tonight. I am. I'm disappointed in you all. You guys usually love when we go off topic.
Matt, do you know there's an episode of Family Matters where Urkel takes on the Bushwhackers in a wrestling match?
Okay, I got it.
Now I have your attention.
You may have, yeah. Okay.
And I think Gene LaBelle is the referee.
Wow.
Legendary submission, Gene LaBelle. Yeah.
I will be YouTubing that after the show.
There were a lot of wrestling.
It's called the Psycho Twins. Is the name of the episode.
Jaleel White. Does he got your attention now?
There were a lot of episodes that we were watching for some reason. An old episode of We've Got It Made where she went to try out for Glow. And it was like a Glow crossover episode. I mean, there used to be a lot of wrestling in 80s sitcoms.
We were spoiled with great television.
It's true. So the last segment of the show, the Return of the Firefly Funhouse, and this was interesting. It started off like a normal Firefly Funhouse. Bray was and Ramblin' Rabbit, they were talking about Braun Strowman. Bray's lost to Strowman and Money in the Bank. And then we saw these flashbacks. Well, actually, first it was interrupted by Strowman making his entrance out into the ring, and then Wyatt appearing on the big screen. We saw these flashbacks to the Wyatt family, and Bray dressed like his FCW days, saying Strowman looks like he's seen a ghost. To move forward, you must take a step back to where it all began. Strowman looked confused. Wyatt says he created Braun, so it's his duty to destroy him. He says, we're find him, follow the buzzers, blew out the lantern, and it went off the air after telling him to run. Was this a one-off, or are they really bringing back old Bray Wyatt?
What do you mean?
Well, the return of the original Bray Wyatt look, the run, the follow the buzzards,
the lantern blown out.
I think they can go back to it as long as they go back to Fiend. I'm okay with this because this is good storytelling. This is connecting dots, right? We should be giving them credit for the tip of the cap to history.
Yeah, it's. I think they've found a way to. Okay, we don't need to have the Fiend on every month. We can. It's always going to come back to the Fiend. That's the most dangerous, incredible of the Bray personalities, characters. Yes, thank you. But I think this is a way to, especially with Braun, because he was once in the Wyatt family. That's where he started. It's a way to have these three faces of Foley. It's a way to have different incarnations of Bray. And right now, quite honestly, if the next match between this old leader of the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, versus Braun, happens, you can have this. You can have Bray come out to the old Wyatt family music, the catching flies, and do all the things, and it'll go over for one night of nostalgia. And then Braun beats that Bray Wyatt, and then comes SummerSlam. Now it's time. You've disturbed him. The Fiend is going to finish this. I like this. I was really drawn into this.
Yeah, me too. I don't hate anything you just said, actually.
Yeah. I think, though, to go back to it full time would be a mistake, but for one night.
Big time. Yes, it would.
So that was SmackDown tonight. It was a fast-moving show.
It was a good SmackDown, though.
Yeah, I think it's just in light of everything else going on, it was definitely not the biggest thing in wrestling today. So what else do we got? Zach,
I've already done all the news, so
yeah, we already did all the news. Zach Eisendrath 499 saying, "Love the show. What would it take for one of you to host the show for my friend's bachelor party next Friday in Wisconsin?" Zach, there's some things going on in the world, or else Justin LaBar would be there in a heartbeat. You wouldn't even, just give him like gas money in a 12-pack.
Zach, I'll give you my Delta Rewards account. If you can just book the flight on that, I'll be there. That's fine.
Oh, he'd be the hostess with the mostest.
That's right.
Tim Mickles, Buck99, Three's Company, the funniest show ever.
Yes.
That's aged well.
Definitely top 10. Definitely top 10. Jack Tripper would get into some serious situations. It was I love that show.
And he never got romantic with either of the women, did he?
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's
I got there was a little like controversy once when I was growing up, because you have to do that report about, your role models, like male role model, female role model. And I wrote my female role model is my mom, and my male role model is Jack Tripper. I feel like he's really taught me everything I need to know about being a man.
Really? Jack Tripper was yours. That's cool.
Well, think about it. I mean, because even like he was silly. Yeah, he would like sometimes flirt with the girls, but he was always like a decent stand-up guy. Like when John Ritter died, John Ritter dying was probably like the hardest celebrity death that I've ever had.
He was. You're right. He was awesome.
On
so many levels.
Way
ahead of his time too. He was Jim Carrey in a way before Jim Carrey, as far as a physical comedy with his body language that he would provide. Think about it. He was hilarious.
By the way, Jaleel White was pretty good at physical comedy as Urkel. But I will say this, John Ritter...
One-dimensional. And if you throw Stefan on me, I'll hang up. I will quit this podcast.
Jaleel White played Stefan, Cousin Myrtle, his OGD, original Gangster Dog cousin. Nonetheless, John Ritter, one of John Ritter's best under talked about performances actually is in Bad Santa as the manager of the mall. The facial expressions and just the cadence of how he spoke, so like just disgusted by Billy Bob Thornton's character. Great stuff.
I'm impressed with. Okay, so you've gotten some comeback points with me here tonight, Justin, because you've missed a litany of classics. But I'll give you credit for that Ritter shout out for that.
I would say underrated John Ritter film no one talks about was Hero at Large, where he plays the actor.
I never saw that.
He does a promotional. He's an out-of-work actor. He does a promotional appearance as a superhero, and then actually decides to start fighting crime.
Huh,
like it's a very different kind of comedy. But I remember loving that as a kid, and actually enjoyed it more as an adult. But someone in the chat had a very important Three's Company related question. Mark wants to know Mr. Roper or Mr. Furley.
You can't ask me that. You can't ask. I can't answer it either. I can't answer that. It's impossible to answer this.
When I was a kid, I liked Mr. Furley more. As an adult, I think Mr. Roper is freaking hilarious.
So in wrestling, when I was in Ohio Valley Wrestling, I deemed a term called the Roper, which was any time you deadpan the camera, and we would all dare each other in the middle of an in-ring promo to do the Roper. Aaron Stevens was the best at it. The best. He would always get a good one in. And we'd all be in the back locker room popping huge for it. Yeah. The Roper.
Yeah.
It's
pretty cool.
When you're talking, you're doing this, and I'm going to do this to you tonight, and then back to the promo. Swear to God.
See, and those are for the fans of this podcast, those are the little nuggets you're not going to get anywhere else. That Matt
Nowhere
else.
we should
Matt, that's really cool. I've never heard that.
We should write like terrible teases for this podcast and be like, it's like, what's the connection between Matt Morgan and Mr. Roper? Tune in to find out on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. So lots of love for Problem Child. Yeah, the Problem Child series in the chat room.
Wait, what did I feel like I'm missing something. What's Problem Child?
John Ritter starred in that series of movies, Problem Child, where it was the little redheaded kid that was like evil, and they adopted him, and he just like terrorized everybody. It wasn't a horror movie; it was a comedy. But John Ritter was the dad in that series.
Okay.
Oh, I got ready to confuse that with what's Jennifer Tilly in? Chucky.
John Ritter was in a Chucky movie as well.
Was he really?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was the sheriff.
One of them.
Oh. Jennifer Tilly, she's also on it. Talk about Jim Carrey. I was watching Jim Carrey and Jennifer Tilly in Liar Liar the other day.
Yeah.
Fantastic
She
movie.
was great. She is so underrated in that.
She's underrated.
She is.
Yes.
I met her.
Somebody said the pen promo earlier, and I got ready to
You're stepping on Glenn's pop right now for Jen.
Oh, I'll let him have it in a minute. Somebody said the pen promo earlier, and I got ready to quote Liar Liar. The pen is blue. The pen is blue. The God pen is blue. Go ahead,
at the same video store convention where Richard Simmons mocked me, like the only person mocked by Richard Simmons, he hurt my feelings because of my squinting at him. I met Jennifer Tilly, and this was like 1995 or 96. She'd just been nominated for an Oscar for Bullets Over Broadway. And I remember I was like, you were in one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's Moving Violations. And she just was like, oh, great, Moving Violations. And like signed my autograph and like didn't even want to talk to me. But Moving Violations, Moving Violations, I love more than all the Police Academy movies combined.
Huh. Wow. See, now Raj not overrates, but he thinks it's cool talking about his Police Academy knowledge. You can't compare that to Police Academy.
Have you seen Moving Violations?
That's the problem. I watch everything.
I had to watch Moving Violations in driving school. I've had to watch it when I went to traffic school. So it's a comedy about a bunch of bad drivers that have to go to traffic school. And it stars like everybody's sibling. So Jennifer Tilly's Meg Tilly's sibling. It stars Joel Murray, Bill Murray's younger brother. It stars.
What does that say? What does that say, though, Glenn?
Yeah, but it's very funny. It's a very, very funny movie about people in drivers in traffic school. Anyhow.
All right.
And by the way, if you Google Jennifer Tilly, she holds up.
I believe that.
She looks stunning.
What is that? No.
She's aged well. James Potts pointing out John Ritter died around the same time as Johnny Cash. I think they died on the same day. It was within the same day. It was like back to back.
Hey, James Potts comes on my Twitter every once in a while. What's up, James Potts?
Yes. Yeah, that was a tough week between Cash and Ritter, back to back.
Jennifer Tilly's like a fine wine, better with age.
All right, Justin, you need to set up.
Really? You want to start talking about Bailey again? I mean,
no.
Justin's views on women.
I don't want to hear it either. No, I don't want to hear it either. What's next, Glenn? Anything else?
No, that's all we got. That's all we got, man. We're just hanging out. It's Friday night. A couple guys talking about Three's Company.
And Jennifer Tilly.
Do you guys keep getting this on your phone? Carrier settings update. New settings are.
I get that every once in a while.
Like, I don't want to. I don't trust it. So I'm saying.
On that cliffhanger, we should probably wrap tonight's podcast.
Jennifer Tillery is an excellent poker player. Holy hell.
She is. She was married to Sam Simon from The Simpsons, who passed away a couple years ago. He was a producer from The Simpsons, and they were both huge into poker.
That's right. I'm reading that right now.
Guess who doesn't care at all? Like,
okay.
Not even like this much.
Oh, it's Friday night, Morgan. Lighten up.
Matt's got campaigning to do. He's got stuff going on.
I'm exhausted.
I know. Thank you for making time.
Don't you notice I'm so tough to Matt when I'm 1,000 miles away?
You'd be able to eat me up alive right now. I'm so exhausted. I apologize.
It's been a tough couple days with wrestling. Again, go to Wrestling Inc. for all the stories with everything going on. Like I said, we didn't cover it tonight in depth because there's so much of it, and it's an ever-evolving situation we want to give ultimate care and sensitivity to. So go to Wrestling Inc. for the latest news. He's at BP Matt Morgan. He's at Justin LaBar. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. We'll see you back here Monday for Raw on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.
Thank you, viewers.